Good morning, folks. How's everyone doing?
Good morning.
Wow, seriously? I think I heard a mouse back here over that. Good morning, folks. How are we doing? Is that coffee potent? Is it decaf today? What's going on? All right, one more time. We're going to try to get some more folks in. So let's say DevOps Days on 3. 1, 2, 3. DevOps Days! There we go. That's a good one. There we go. Now we're awake. Now I'm awake. So welcome to day 2 of DevOps Days. Yay! Did y'all have a good time yesterday? Yes. What did y'all learn? Don't trust anyone? Should probably not listen to me then.
Don't trust robots.
Don't trust robots. True. True. Anything else? Robots make great poets. Observability. Awesome. You all were paying attention. That's great. Appreciate it. A couple announcements before we begin. Code of conduct on the website. Check it out. We want to make a nice, friendly space here. We want to make it a nice learning atmosphere. We've got quiet rooms in room 3 and 5, I believe, when the workshops are not going on. We've got workshop rooms on, I think, 4 and 6. So I think even rooms are on that side, odd rooms are over there. I got that wrong yesterday. If you need some quiet space, go to the quiet room. That's why we have it. And if you have any issues, just find someone in a salmon shirt and ask us questions or comments or feedback. I went around at the happy hour yesterday and got a lot of feedback. First time coming to DevOps Days, love the event. Food was good. That's our first one, I think, for us. So thanks for that feedback. So we took that feedback and we were like, after the happy hour, we're like, it's pretty tough pulling these events off, but I think it's worth it. So we're going to do it again next year. So registration is now open for 2024. We're going to be here again, like we've always been, April 10th through 11th of 2024. So I'll see you in a year, essentially. So go ahead and check out this QR code. Early bird registration is open right now for $99. So if you liked yesterday's event and you'll enjoy today, I'm sure, come see us next year and tell your friends, tell your family, tell your friends, tell your colleagues, tell random people on the street. When you have to return to office, tell all the people around you that you've never met in the last 3 years to come to DevOps Days next year, all right? That brings me to the next thing. Once you leave today, you're going to be in DevOps withdrawal. And you're going to be like, oh, I need some more DevOps. I need some more tech meetup. So we've got 2 meetups that we know about. Triangle AWS User Group. And we've got 2 events coming up, reInvent Recap and a workshop on AIOps, which is really awesome. And there's also the Triangle Tech Talks. Is Alex in the room? Maybe not. You'll see Alex around. He's the one who runs the Triangle Tech Talks. It's a really awesome meetup. Go check it out. Those are both regular meetups, so kind of like a monthly thing, or even more often. Now, for some of the folks that are in the area for a while, you knew that pre-pandemic there was a lot more meetups, and there was a little bit more activity in the area. There's a Triangle DevOps meetup. There's some other meetups in the area. Unfortunately, I think those kind of went into a stasis mode after the pandemic started. And so, bringing up what Laura was talking about yesterday around community, being the leaders of the community here in the Triangle, I wanted just to open it up to this audience saying, if you're interested in picking up one of these meetups that was running really well before the pandemic and kind of unzombifying them, I don't know what the, reinvigorating them, I guess you could say. Please talk to the folks in here. Yeah, there you go. Which one? NADOG? They are? Okay, so there's NADOG. Would love to get some more details so we can put it up on the board. So I'll find that. We'll put it on this presentation. So there's the North American DevOps community locally that's been active. Triangle DevOps has 1,400 people on the meetup page, but hasn't had an event in a while. So reach out to other folks today at the conference. Maybe have an open space about it. Reach out to Laura. She offered to provide advice on how to kickstart a community again. I would encourage all of us to think about joining these meetups, attending them, keeping this community active. It's a core component of strengthening the triangle, strengthening the business community, the tech community, strengthening the foundation of our tech knowledge and our community. So highly encourage you all to check that out. The next thing is volunteering and organizers. So like I mentioned yesterday, DevOpsDays Raleigh is a volunteer-run conference. That makes it really special. It feels very local, feels very alive, like you're connecting with the local community. But it doesn't happen without organizers and volunteers. So first off, can we do a big round of applause to all the organizers and volunteers? So if you like what you've seen at the conference these past 2 days, and you are really passionate about helping us run it next year, reach out to us at raleigh@devopsdays.org and put your name on the list. Organizers are, we have weekly meetings pretty much all year. Then it gets a little bit more active toward when we get closer to the conference. Has more time investment. Each person has a primary responsibility, and you're part of decision making, right? So we decide the speakers, we decide everything. And if that's a little bit too much, you can be a volunteer 2 weeks beforehand, during the event. We need a lot of folks that help us, give out badges, give out shirts, pack swag, make sure that speakers are here, etc. So highly encourage all of you to consider volunteering or organizing so we can keep this party going into the long-term future. All right. The next speaker is really awesome. Had a great time talking to him at the speaker dinner we had on Tuesday evening, and we're really kicking off today on a strong note. So we got Micah coming up soon, and then we've got a whole awesome list of speakers today, end capping with John Willis doing a presentation on burnout later today. But before that, I want to point out the open spaces board. I really appreciate the reason I'm not going over there right now because we only have two open slots. So I really appreciate all of you putting great suggestions up on the board. And anyone go to an open space yesterday? Awesome. How was it? Who went to the beekeeping one? Yeah. Are you now? I don't know what I guess. Are you all beekeepers now? There we go. That's a good first step of beekeeping, learning how to not kill them. So I love the diversity of topics. We've got another set of really great topics already on the board. Got 2 more slots. So if you are passionate about something, want to talk to like-minded folks, go over there during the morning and fill in those slots and find some folks that you can talk with. So without further ado, I'd like to bring Micah Ullman to the stage. We gotta do that laptop swap. We gotta do laptop swap dates. A couple of other announcements real quick. We are doing Ignite Karaoke again, so y'all now know what it's like. We need 5 more people today. One person tried to back out yesterday for today. I'm not gonna let her do that. Hopefully she can actually come back today. No, I'm just kidding. If you don't want to do it, it's okay. But we need 5 volunteers for later for Ignite Karaoke. And we also, please fill out, get your stamps on your passport. We'll do the raffle at the very end of today. There's some really awesome prizes, so please get those in. We'll pull out the winning prizes at the end. Likely a good chunk of you will come out of here with some really sweet stuff. Are we almost there? Okay. I will continue. I'm like in third string vamping now. All right. I will continue to do poetry unless someone stops me. So you want to hear some more poems today?
Yes.
Not officially sponsored by ChatGPT. Okay. What are some other prompts, now that some of you have learned about ChatGPT yesterday, what are some prompts that you all tried last night? Anything good? Did you ask it like what it takes to host an open source conference? Okay, are we there? That is what I asked it yesterday night.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, there we go. All right. Let's get another round of applause for Micah.
Yeah.
You guys hear me okay? All right, so getting into DORA, achieving your desired state, better known as DevOps maturity.
I'll go find it.
So I'm Mike Allman. I'm the head of operations for a company called More Better Technology. We're a transformation firm that's changing how organizations approach and succeed with transformation. We lead through experienced, hands-on talent, focusing on key areas that are typically challenges and points of failure in transformation. We support that with some proprietary tooling, which helps map organizations to better understand friction and foundation necessary for transformation. We also map software systems, providing insights that are previously unavailable to support that initiative. And we also have a very interesting app modernization framework that lets us transform legacy software, whether that be .NET, Java, RPG, COBOL, or some funky language you think you've never heard of, to some new great language and platform and modern architecture in months, not years. Yeah, we have a funny name, we got great service and an awesome product. If you remember anything from this talk today, it will probably be our company name. So what's all the rage about DORA? This is a compendium of work that came out a few years ago. If you do not have this on your bookshelf, I highly recommend that you go and get a copy. You will want to refer to this in your journey for DevOps maturity. What was so great about this book was all the research and background that went into it. They catalog all the best practices, the processes, and the core metrics of what made a high-performing DevOps organization at the end of the day. This came from thousands of organizations. We're going to talk about some of these KPIs today. You can use these as your North Stars as you are going through your DevOps maturity processes. This book also was breaking down the silos that existed between developers and the operations team, talking about more communication and shared responsibility. So what is DORA at the end of the day? It's both an organization as well as an assessment framework. They focus on helping companies improve their software delivery pipeline and how they get value to market quicker and with higher reliability and things. There's 5 key tenets that go into this. The first is the continuous improvement. You have to have that as a foundation of your culture for you to be able to succeed in this journey, especially if you're coming from a more legacy software environment. You're not doing a lot of greenfield, more brownfield in nature. So you're going to have a foundation of continuous improvement to get through this. You're also going to have high bandwidth communication, collaboration, and a shared responsibility. Because we all know in the early days of this, your teams are usually still somewhat siloed. You're advancing the technologies and the processes across multiple discipline teams. So having that high collaboration communication is going to be a key foundation for you. And then have the metrics. We're going to go into a lot more detail into those here in just a minute. They give you a reference for how you're performing against other organizations in the industry, as well as within your own organization itself. And one way to get there, to drive towards the best results in your KPIs, you got to have automation. We spent a lot of time in the last day talking about automation, and you're going to hear more about that today as well. And then bookending that is getting to a culture of learning and experimentation, because you're going to have to continue to adapt from where you are today to where you need to be continually. Let's go through some of the metrics. One of the first metrics is deployment frequency. This measures how often your code changes get deployed to a production environment. The quicker you are about doing that, the higher you score in the DORA framework. Why is this important? This is about getting your organization to deliver value, as in functionality to the customer, as fast as possible. Things to watch out for in your journey of improving your metrics. It is easy for you to give up on stability, reliability, overall quality, and even value. You might be picking lower value, business value items instead of higher business value items in order to find yourself scoring higher in the DORA framework. So watch out for that. Some lead time for change is another core metric here. So this again is how often or how fast from the time that I commit my code does it get deployed to production. So this is really assessing your SDLC, your PMLC, et cetera, these life cycles that get you through a quality control framework, repeatability, all the way through to production. So this is heavily reliant upon automation. So the faster you get there, obviously we like to get into the hours. You're probably going to start off in the weeks and maybe even in the months, depending upon your system. But ultimately, you're trying to get down to the hours or less. This is helping you to think about how are we going to get more efficiency and effectiveness out of what we are doing within our life cycles today. Like, how do we get more automation in our QA framework? How do we get more automation from our penetration testing and other security frameworks and compliance needs there, so that we can move this software through our life cycle as quickly as possible? Watch out for skipping steps. It's really easy to give up on some of these steps early on in the process just to get to a metric value. The other one, mean time to restore. So we all know that things go bump in the night, usually at night, 2 a.m., 3 a.m. This is how long does it take you to recover from that incident? Ultimately, what we're trying to do here is drive towards improving our availability and reliability of our key systems to the customer. Watch out as you're going through this process of balancing value delivery versus rolling back. You get a higher score by rolling back versus trying to, quote unquote, roll forward and deliver value. And the last key framework metric is change failure rate. So this is how often when you deploy something into production, do you experience some sort of issue that requires you to jump in and remediate it. What we're trying to do here is get a higher level of reliability for our customers through improving our tooling and our processes. Watch out for, as you improve, all of the integrations that are dependent upon your system. Once you've got great automation, you will find that you're doing a great job. You also have to think about your architectures, semantic versioning, things like that will come into play here, where you might impact other dependent systems that you don't have direct control over, that you can measure from to understand what types of failures and detection rates that you're dealing with there. So kind of looking at this in aggregate, the big four, we've gone through these. What you will see is starting in 2022, they moved from 4 categories of assessing to 3. There used to be an elite value on here. There weren't that many folks who made it into the elite category. And typically now you see most organizations sitting in the medium category. Low is pretty high quantity as well across the industry, with high still being reserved for some of the more quote unquote elite folks that are able to get there. You can see across the spectrum the gradation of how the percentages and the metrics improve. And this is across the thousands of organizations they continue to assess. This is where they're driving themselves. So this is how you can compare yourself to others. Our caveat is that you should compare yourself to yourself and build yourself a growth spectrum. And I'm going to start talking about that in just a moment, about how you get from where you are today to maybe looking at where Dora is telling you you should be. So first, let's look at reality a little bit. So when you start your journey, a lot of organizations don't even know where they are. So one of the first steps is to assess yourselves. And one thing in your assessment is that you might have the ability to do something better, but you may not have the automated ability to do something better. This goes back to the fun conversation about war rooms. We can throw bodies at problems all day long. We can probably solve things pretty quickly through just intellectual property and the ability to get there quickly. But doing it through automation so that we get scalability and sleep is key. So as you're starting your journey, you'll find that, yes, I have the ability to potentially be higher in the spectrum, but my automated capability may not be. Same thing for lead time to change. Time to restore would typically you'll find yourself somewhere in the low spectrum to the high. But typically automation is where it will drive you to be much lower in the spectrum. And then change failure rate, a lot of times you can manually roll back something quickly, but can you automatically roll it back? That's the big challenge for the day. So the secret to this is that most companies are not ranked high. So don't start sweating on day one if you and your management team are saying, let's adopt Dora and let's get moving on this. Think about it, assess yourselves, and find out where you need to fit, and realize that you're going to start off looking like a checkerboard. And it's more about what you and your team need than what Dora is telling you need today. So let's talk about how you can get more maturity into your DevOps organization. We at MBT, we have a 5-phase approach of realizing DevOps maturity, which is ultimately using Dora as kind of that North Star. Our first phase is going through an assess and a plan phase. I can't emphasize enough how important this phase really is. The second phase is building the foundation that you're going to need to drive the automation, the culture, the process changes for you to get there. Then you're going to start to align and shift using your continuous improvement processes and experimentation to get you where you need to be. And then you're going to continue to advance that and mature your operations. And then ultimately, you're going to find yourselves in what we all define as the target state of a DevOps culture. Let me walk you through some of these phases. So phase one, key and foundation of everything is people, right? We need to start with the people. And typically with people, we need to make sure that we have a cultural alignment around this. I can't emphasize that enough. Is your organization and your team members that are involved, not just directly, but also dependently involved, are they aligned with what you're trying to achieve? How you're going to achieve it? Are they engaged in the right way? Are their leaders engaged in the right way? Have you developed a process of communication? Have you baselined your tools and your processes? Do you know where you're really starting from? Do you know where you need to get to? And then define some Dora goals. We typically like to define them by phase and align that against a target state as well as the strategic needs of the IT organization and the business organization as well. Then you can start to build your roadmap, your product backlog, and then you can start to execute. One of the things to be aware of with any type of large change like this, be aware of the J-curve of transformation. I'll talk about that in just a minute. So thinking about it from a checklist perspective, people are the foundation to start with, then move into your processes. Think about your change management aspects, and we're talking about organizational change management as much as we're talking about change management around release management as well. Think about the technologies and where you're starting from, the architectures of your applications that you're dealing with of that system. What are you going to have to adapt in those particular areas for you to really reach the automation capabilities that you need? And then if you can, align some of these changes against your IT and your business strategies. That's going to help you with your management team as well as the business team buy-in on how you're going to execute and deliver value. And then the foundation for all of this is you need to have a reporting framework. You can start off manually. You can adopt tools quickly. It's up to you. But you need to start from day one to have reporting built in. So the J curve of transformation, the reason I bring this up is that every organization that goes through change experiences this. And I don't want you to become frustrated and lose hope that you're going to, at the end of the day, get to your desired state. So the J curve of transformation is pretty simple. You start off with the change early on. You might have some level of success. You get a few sprints in, and then it seems like you hit a wall. You stall out. You reach the valley of death, so to speak, or the trough of despair. It goes by some great names. That duration is up to you and your organization, how long you're going to spend in that valley. This is where you've got to plan ahead for this. You need to rally your troops and say, hey, remember at the start of this, when we did the planning, we talked about this. We knew this was coming. Let's rally together and let's push through this. Let's figure this out. Let's lean in on our communication, our continuous improvement, that experimentation culture that we're getting on, wanting to get to. That's what's going to get you out of this. And that's going to propel you on to get to your true foundation. And I'd say most of us today are somewhere between phase 2 and phase 3, but when we're starting this journey out. But this foundation phase is really about getting your processes and your foundational tools built and aligned together, and working on getting your teams more combined, getting better communication across the team, and then thinking about who owns and how you're going to get the data on day one. You don't want to find yourself 6 sprints in and start to realize you haven't been reporting your metrics. So you don't know how you're progressing. So you want to start to be able on day one to know who and how and where you're going to go get this data from. And then make sure you're leaning in on the continuous feedback and the learning. You got to emphasize this. It needs to become part of your DNA as a team. It's the only way you're going to improve, because phases 3 and 4 become much more complex. The typical things during this phase are getting your work management tools in place or realigned typically. Typically we have them, but we need to get them realigned. We're getting some of the foundations around how we might use source code management better. We might be building out some of our core CI tooling, communication tooling, documentation tooling. There's a lot of tooling that goes into this phase because we have to be able to support that. We may also be building out new processes that we've never experienced before. Or we may be having to work with teams to think differently about some of the existing organizational processes, because they may not be a fit for where we're starting from or where we want to go to. So we move into the alignment phase. And this is really about team and environment alignment. So we start thinking about the DevOps loop. We start looking left of that. What we're dealing with here is that we need to start looking at the development arm and saying, what are your life cycles and how do I help you improve those? How do I help you move faster? And then we start thinking about how we do more planning around doing more and more tool and process adoption. The things coming in here are, how do we advance further beyond just unit testing or simple functional testing? Where do we start to lean in harder on new tools in this space to make sure that we're getting the level of quality as well as the speed that we need? We're looking in at the macro and we're saying, okay, team, we have a life cycle here. How do we improve this? What's causing us to have some friction, or where are we finding some missing foundations in our day-to-day? This is where we start to lean in and look at the whole. We're starting to lean in heavily on automations. We've got the foundation for the tools already. Now we're really starting to get further into, like, how do we start to squeeze to get the last little bit out of this from an automation perspective? This is where you're going to run into some of your early challenges around adapting your environment management. So this is all your lower type environments, whether that be a QA environment, a staging environment, even a training environment to support the business needs. Data management. This is typically one of these areas where folks run into some challenges pretty early on managing data for all the different types of environments and doing that through automation. I think there's a great talk coming up later today about that. And then testing automation. A lot of these legacy applications don't have the level of testing on day one or the tool support and automation that they need. So you have to lean in heavily with those team members to get where you need to be. And then looking right on the ops side, this is where we're moving heavily into more automation around standardizing our tool sets, whether that's like an Ansible and configuration manager or a scripting language tool, PowerShell, or something else in that space, and really doubling down on things on the infrastructure as code, like Terraform or Pulumi or something like that. This is where you're really leaning in hard to get this continuous life cycle of improvement built out through automation and tooling. Let me head into the advancing stage. And also from the phase 3, that is a lengthy phase for you because you're also having to change architectures, and heading into phase 4, you're even further changing architectures and technologies of your platform to ultimately reach this state. So in phase 4, this is where we're leaning hard and starting to sprint and move more quickly around quality, security, and all the star abilities like that we love to talk about. This is where we're getting really deep into more code quality type tools, more mocking tools, virtualization tools. And in a lot of these big organizations, we deal a lot with third-party tools, SaaS tools, things like that, that we can't control. So how do we virtualize and test around those? We got to start bringing in these types of tools to help us get there. We got to really start to scale up our communication at this stage. We're really starting to get more alignment with our business teams and our product managers, because they're starting to understand that technology needs to be part of the PMLC. We're starting to get more and more delivery alignment around our value streams and how we're going to roll things out at this stage. We're also starting to get deeper into the security space. We're not neglecting security throughout this, but this is where we're going to that last. We're trying to squeeze everything out of this that we can at this point. We're getting deeper into organizational artifact management, SBOM, which we heard a little bit about yesterday. Feature flagging. This is typically the phase where we start to think deeper about how we're going to leverage feature flagging, which we heard a lot about yesterday. And we can't forget about all the compliance tooling and all the other process improvements that we need to support the security initiatives in this space, because we all know how important cyber is these days. And then we're looking at the ops space, thinking further and further about how do we get more automation targets out of this? How do we get the right level of logging, the telemetry, and the reporting needs, so that we're getting more automation out of our logs than just manual review. And once we've reached phase 5 and we are officially a DevOps culture at this point in time, we've got that product mindset that's letting us think through the technical needs. So our business team and our product managers, they recognize the importance of IT at this stage and all the technical debt challenges that we're dealing with, and they accept that. We have a one-team behavior, so we don't have any more silos. We're typically more true pizza team and type alignment at this point, or we have some good foundational team structures for how we're enabling ourselves. We've got a lot of automation, and our automation is the entire spectrum of the development experience, including testing and the security initiatives, the operational aspects. We've got a lot of automation around fault detection and environment management. And then we're looking further into now, how do we get better cost containment and environment management around how the business and strategies are aligned to that. And we're now starting to get deeper into an SRE foundation. And then we're starting to look beyond the team that we're on, and we're starting to scale that up. So that communities of practice within our organization, we're taking what we've learned and we're starting to then scale it up and out. So in closing, use DORA as a reference point. Set realistic internal targets first. Always use DORA as a comparative North Star, but don't worry about it in the early days. How do you compare against other organizations? Always try to bring your business and IT strategy alignment into your phases of adoption. Plan your future. I can't emphasize that enough. A lot of organizations just say, we're going to be DevOps, and they get started, and that J-curve of transformation hits early and hard. They don't have the budget, they don't have the management buy-in, they don't have the team buy-in. So I can't emphasize that enough. Keep security as your primary focus across all of the phases. Keep your teams talking. If you're a part of this, just keep them talking. You got to keep your management team engaged. The more they know, the more they're willing to support you. And don't give up. The J-curve of transformation and all the other minutiae you're going to deal with, it's going to be sharp. It's going to be hard. But remember that this journey is a cycle. It is not a destination. So thank you very much. Highly recommend the Accelerate book on your bookshelf. Also recommend follow the QR code here. We have a detailed breakdown of all of the 5 phases, the tooling by phase, etc., how to think about it. So follow that QR link. Thank you all very much.
That was awesome. Thank you, Micah. I want to +1 that Accelerate book. When that came out, I got a copy, I believe, from someone that might actually be here today, but it was very influential in my understanding of the grounding of this movement that we now call DevOps, and how, as an organization, not only the projects that I was supporting at the time needed to change, but whole entire ways of thinking around IT, cultural, organizational practices, organizational structure to support this more dynamic environment, and how crucial it was to focus on these little pieces that you can do and really drive change to build up to a larger DevOps model. Yes? I have not read that yet. So if you... Cool. Maybe have an open space about that. Yeah. What? Or a book club, yeah. Modern Software Engineering by David Farley. Cool. Yeah. Yeah. And I would actually put John Willis into that category as well, which we'll be hearing from later today. So I'd like to bring up our first sponsor today, give a warm welcome to New Relic.
Yeah. Hi everyone. Hi, my name is Daniel. I'm a developer advocate at New Relic, and I'm here to talk to you about what New Relic is, which is the #1 thing people ask me when they come up to the booth. So New Relic is a full stack observability platform. So what that means is we help you figure out what's going wrong with your cloud environments. And if something goes wrong, it's really hard to figure out what is going wrong, especially when you have complicated applications that you deploy to the cloud. Especially in the modern age of so many different technologies that are abstractions on top of abstractions. It's really hard to figure out if your app is slow or if your app is broken, what part and what is the cause, the root cause of things breaking. So New Relic, what it does is that it ingests data that are machine generated from all of your applications, and it constantly monitors it to figure out, hey, like what is going wrong, so it can alert you, so you can proactively go and fix problems before it hits customers, and you can also go and fix things if you have outages faster, because you don't have to dig through all of the things. New Relic will surface up all the relevant data for you, so you don't have to do all that manual labor of trying to go and figure out, dig through logs, which if you've ever had to SSH into things when you're under pressure and getting Slack DMs from your boss, it is a very stressful experience. So New Relic aims to make that experience a little bit more delightful, I guess. That's like our ultimate goal, but what the best we can do is probably make it a little bit more helpful. So yeah, that's what New Relic does. If you want a live demo of what our platform can do, feel free to stop by the booth. Me and my friends from New Relic will be more than happy to show what New Relic can do for your organization. So yeah, that's what New Relic does. Yeah, I hope you have a great DevOps Days. I'm having a great time. So yeah, thanks so much.
Awesome, thank you. We can't do these events without sponsors, so really appreciate New Raleigh sponsoring today's event. While we're setting up for the next speaker, it's poetry time. You all ready for the first one today? Yeah? Oh, that's a very warm. I guess I won't do it. DORA is a framework we use to evaluate our DevOps views. It helps us to assess and measure and ensure our processes are treasured. We look at deployment frequency and how long it takes to recover, you see. Change failure rate is also key to ensure our DevOps is as mature as can be. Continuous delivery is our aim, and automation is not just a game. Culture and collaboration are also at play to ensure our DevOps is here to stay. Not too bad, not too bad. So I want to call up Shavai, if they're ready. Why don't we do this? Let's take a quick break and show back up at 9:55.
Anything?